Due to an accident, my wife and I lost our lives in a massive fire. When we open our eyes again, we find ourselves back on the day we registered our marriage, in our last life. Everyone thought we were the perfect couple. Little did they know that my wife, Queenie Lloyd, refused to consummate our marriage. Right before my death, I found out that I was nothing but a replacement for her first love. Queenie had intended to remain chaste for him for the rest of her life. After being reborn, neither of us speaks of the past, by an unspoken agreement. We get a divorce that very day and go on to live separate lives. 8 years later, she attends an industry summit holding her childhood sweetheart's arm. She's now a rising star in the business world. I am dressed in plain clothes. When she notices me, she walks over with a champagne glass in hand. Mr. Lawrence, even if you still have feelings for me, you didn't have to disguise yourself as a waiter just to approach me. Are you still trying to convince me to get back together with you? She sneers. I ignore her and smile as I wave at someone nearby. My son runs over to me and tugs on the corner of my shirt. Mommy said she's tired, Daddy. She wants to know when you're coming to pick us up, he tells me. Upon hearing this, Queenie's face stiffens immediately, and she almost drops her wine glass. By the time I had finished working on the new project, it was already well into the evening. My wife, Suzanne Brenner, had called and asked me to pick her up from the hotel. I hurried to my hotel and discovered that an industry summit was being held there. The brightly lit lobby was filled with people, but I spotted Queenie, my ex-wife, in the crowd immediately. I hadn't seen Queenie in 8 years. She was standing next to Liam Manson, and the pair was speaking to people around them with a smile. You seem to be doing really well, Ms. Lloyd. Your new office building just opened up, but the investment projects are already snatched up, a middle-aged man said to Queenie with a smile. Then, he continued. It's incredibly difficult to make a reservation at this hotel. I can't believe you managed to secure the venue and host the industry summit here. You're truly a role model for all of us. Queenie nodded and replied in a gentle voice. You're too kind, Mr. Smith. I wouldn't be where I am today if you hadn't given me a chance back then. Oh, not at all. I'm sure I'll have a lot to learn from you in the future as well, he replied. Is it true that you and Mr. Manson are getting married soon? Someone else asked. Queenie glanced at Liam with a gleeful expression. Then, she announced, we're holding our wedding on the 10th of the following month. We hope that everyone will be able to attend the ceremony. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately offered the happy couple their congratulations. All of a sudden, a tactless individual said, I heard you were divorced, Ms. Lloyd. Would you be inviting your ex-husband to your wedding? Queenie's smile instantly faded. In a cold and unfeeling voice, she spat. There's no need for me to see that man ever again. The person refused to let the matter go. That can't be true. I heard that the two of you were very much in love back then. He even threw you a grand wedding. Liam stepped forward and put his arm around Queenie's shoulder. That's all in the past now, he said in a soft tone. Queenie and I are each other's first love. That marriage was just a misunderstanding. Everyone hastily agreed with him and changed the topic of conversation. As I stood by the edge of the crowd, I thought about how Queenie looked after we had registered our marriage. Back then, she stood under the afternoon sun and stared at our wedding certificate for a very long time. Then, she suddenly looked up at me and flashed me a small smile. I finally married you, she said with tears in her eyes. At that time, I thought that she was crying out of happiness. Eventually, I realized that she teared up because she missed someone else. Just as I was about to turn around and leave, Queenie suddenly looked in my direction. Mr. Lawrence. Before I had realized it, Queenie was already standing in front of me, holding her champagne glass in one hand. She silently judged my simple attire before her lips curved up into a subtle smirk. Well, this is unexpected. She wasn't being very loud, but the people around us managed to hear her anyway. How did you manage to get into such an upscale event? She spat. Before I could respond, a man in gold glasses laughed. Who is this man? Ms. Lloyd. Queenie gently swirled her champagne and announced coolly. This is James Lawrence, my ex-husband. Upon hearing the words ex-husband, the entire group fell silent. Then, some of them began eyeing me up and down. Oh. Is he the man who used up his life savings to hold his wedding? The man in gold glasses exclaimed in realization. Then, he dragged out his words and continued. Judging by your attire and the fact that we've never met, I think it's safe to assume that your career is mediocre at best. You kind of look like Mr. Manson, though. A middle-aged man in a blue suit chimed in. No, he doesn't. He hardly measures up to Mr. Manson. You're giving him far too much credit. I hadn't even opened my mouth when a young woman chuckled. What a horrible thing to say, Mr. Wayne. Look at how embarrassed Mr. Lawrence is. For all we know, he could just be a stand-in Ms. Lloyd had picked up during one of her little spats. You shouldn't have said that. I was just calling it like I saw it, the man replied. Subsequently, he walked over and patted my shoulder. So what if you were a temporary stand-in for Mr. Manson? I think you ought to be grateful for the experience. Upon hearing this, the rest of the group burst into laughter as well. Queenie took a sip of her champagne. She didn't take part in ridiculing me, but she made no effort to stop everyone else from doing so either. Instead, she just quietly watched me with a triumphant and derisive look on her face. Emboldened by what he saw, the man in gold glasses grew even more brazen. The way I see it, Mr. Lawrence shouldn't have come here at all. Look at Queenie's current social status. Don't you think you've made a fool of yourself by coming here? He mocked. That's a bit harsh, Mr. Smith, said the man in the blue suit. But since Mr. Lawrence is already here, he might as well get a drink before he leaves. But you'll have to say, the drinks here might be a bit more extravagant compared to what you usually enjoy. Once some of them let out stifled laughs, Queenie finally decided to speak. Cut it out, everyone. Mr. Lawrence was a stand-in, but that's all in the past now, she said. Our relationship was just a fling. There's no need to pay any attention to it. She looked at me emotionlessly and continued. If you're here to congratulate me, I'll accept your good wishes. However, if you have other intentions, she paused. Everyone around her was waiting for her to finish her sentence. We're no longer the people we were 8 years ago. You should have moved on by now, she said. Dressing up as a waiter to approach me want convince me to get back together with you. Her remarks made everyone cackle. The people who were once friendly and supportive at our wedding were now standing alongside her. Every single one of them was staring at me with pity and disdain. I stayed silent until they had finished talking, while they eagerly waited for me to become flustered. I nodded and asked calmly, are you done? Then, I glanced at all of them before finally turning to look at Queenie. Can I go now? Ms. Lloyd. A notification popped up on my phone. Suzanne was urging me to come get her. This hotel actually belonged to me. But I couldn't be bothered to explain that to them. Queenie froze for a moment before she started to frown.